Hey everybody, this is Matt with MathsMath.com. Thanks for joining us here today as we talk about how to factor trinomials. We're in the Common Core Math Standard of the number system, and we're going to be working with and solving various degrees of polynomials. All right, your guiding question statement today is we're going to learn how to factor trinomials into two expressions, and then we're going to use those two expressions to graph parabolas, okay? All right, now that we have been working with trinomials, we can start really expanding them, factoring them down, and trying to graph them with not really picking out specific points. We can use the x-intercepts, we can use the vertex, the line of symmetry, all those good things to put it together to make a nice little parabola like this guy, huh? Isn't it so cute? All right, let's do it. All right, so now we're going to talk about factoring, okay? Remember we found the x-intercepts before? What happens if we start with a trinomial then? And it's kind of hard to factor it down. How would you describe it? Well, let's do that. Let's start with a simple one right here, okay? X squared minus 2x minus 3. First we're going to do is try and factor it, okay? Now, remember the a that goes here, the number 1, and then the b, which is 2 here, and then the 3, negative 3, is in the c position. What we're going to do now is what you have to do is you have to find the number in the C position and you have to find all of its factors. Okay? Not too much. Got to remember back all the way back to 6th grade. What are the factors of 3? All right, that's what you're going to do. Factors of 3. C equals 3, so our factors are 1 and 3, and that's it. Okay? Now, from there, what you do is you guess. That's kind of my platform I jump off of with my guesses for factoring the expression. So all my expressions are going to look something like this. Which one is it? It could be x plus 1 times x plus 3, x minus 1 times x plus 3, x plus 1 times x minus 3, and x minus 1 times x minus 3. Okay? So it's one of those 4 options. Okay? Because all I did was take the factor of 3, that's the trick, and then now, which one is it? Well, in order to do that, what you can do is just do the distributive property, and then do the distributive property again. Which one is it going to be? Well, if you think about it, if I have a plus there and a plus there, all of these are going to be addition. If I have a minus there and a minus there, when we end up multiplying that negative 1 times negative 3, we're going to get a positive number there. So it's not the top or the bottom. So you can rule those two out, and now just do the distributive property and solve for those guys and see which one it is. Okay? And then it's this guy right here, x plus 1 times x minus 3. When you do the distributive property there, you get it and you get that same exact equation, okay? Same exact as this one. You have to really use common sense to find out the ways to create the number in the b position, okay? So you have to take those factors and how do you bring them together to create this negative 2? That's the trick there. That's the key, okay? Let's try a more intermediate one, x squared minus 9x minus 10. All right, again, we're still doing the factors of 10 there, 1 and 10, 2 and 5. So that actually makes our possible expressions a little bit more, doesn't it? It doubles it. I have more factors, therefore I have more potential equations. Which one is it? Remember, you're trying to figure out how do I pull off negative 9x. Can I get a 9 from a 2 and a 5 ever? Can I get a 9 from a 1 and a 10? Yeah, you can. Okay, so that's what you're looking at. Here you've got a 5 and a 2. Well, can I combine the negative 2 and the negative 5 or a positive 2 and a negative 5 to get a 9? Well, I can't. But if I come over here, a 1 and a 10, that's 11. A negative 1 and a 10, ooh, that's negative 9. What about a plus 1 minus 10? That's negative 9. And a negative 1 and a minus 10 is a negative 11. So here we're ending up with positive 9. Here we have negative 9. Well, what's the b? Negative 9. So it's got to be this guy. Okay, this is the equation right here. Because up here you've got negative 1 plus 10, that's positive 9, whereas plus 1 minus 10 is negative 9, and that's what we're looking for, okay? So you, again, use common sense to find out how to use those two numbers to create the number in the b position. All right, let's try a harder one. Let's do this one. X squared minus 5x plus 12. All right, there's a lot of factors of that c there. There's 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4, Now we got to do a guessing game and figure out, put all those equations together. Now we again have more and more factors because we had more and more factors of c. So now what do we got to do? We've got to combine this -2 and -6, or this -1 and 12, and come up with a -5. Are you able to do that? Well, if you noticed, you plug them all in together, you get a 13 there, 11 there, -11, -13, you get an 8, you get a -1, a 1, -7. Wait a minute. Nothing is giving me that -5. Ah, I haven't told you about this one yet, okay? Led you through the process, but just wanted to make sure that you know that sometimes trinomials, just as numbers, can be prime. It cannot be factored. Okay? A trinomial is prime if it cannot be factored. Okay? Just like the number 7 is prime because it can't be factored other than 1 in itself. So trinomials can't be factored too, and they're called prime. Well, why don't you try these two guys? You've got y equals x squared minus 6x minus 16, and y equals x squared minus 6x plus 16. Why don't you work through these? Again, find the factors of the c, and then see how you can combine them together to get -6 and then -6 there, okay? These aren't the same trinomials. Notice this one's minus 16 and this one's plus 16. All right, you getting it? Now, I'll give you a hint. I think one of these is prime. All right, because I have more factors, again, there's more potential equations. These are all the different options that we're going to get. We want to use them to find -6 and -6 there, okay? All right, yep, that second one was prime. First one was x minus 8 times the quantity of x plus 2. Notice when you combine the -8 and the +2, you get -6, and then -8 times +2 is -16. All right. So our factoring steps. We can follow these easy steps in order to make factoring pretty simple, okay? So if you want to set these up, write these down, I would suggest that this would be totally helpful to you, okay? So if we have this, if we have a trinomial that looks like this, there's both a positive there and a positive there. If they're both positive, it's super simple. The factors of c will have a positive there, a plus there, and a plus there. That's it. If these are both plus, then this is plus. Now again, this is if you can factor it. Now if it's prime, sometimes you'll have a plus there and a plus there and it'll be prime. It won't work out. But if it's not prime, if it can be factored, you'll have a plus there and a plus there. Now, if there is a minus there and a plus there, well, the factors of c, when you put them in the equation, are going to both be negative. Minus there and a minus there. If you think about it, what's a negative times a negative? Bam, positive. Okay? If the equation looks like this, where there's a minus there and a minus there, they're both negative, well, this one will be plus d and this one will be minus e. Okay, they're both plus and minus. Now, the trick there is that the absolute value of d has to be less than the absolute value of e. Okay, so in essence, e is bigger than d. Whereas the other way around, you've got plus and minus gets you this, minus d plus e, where the absolute value of d is less than the absolute value of e, okay? All right, so these are our steps. Now, how to graph them? Well, first of all, you have to factor the trinomial. You have to factor it, break it down, find the x-intercepts, that's easy. Each one of those guys inside the parentheses is going to equal 0, so you flip the sign. Then you want to find the line of symmetry. Again, that's negative b over 2a, and then find the vertex point by plugging that line of symmetry into the original equation. You're going to connect the dots and extend it, and that's it. Okay, so pretty basic on how to graph a trinomial. All right, once you factor and graph these trinomials, if possible, remember, some of them might be prime. All right, how you doing? Remember, you got to find all the factors of c and combine them somehow to get -5. Same thing here. Combine them to get -2. Combine them here to get -2 as well. And then, again, you want to find the line of symmetry, which is taking this b, making it negative, so this is going to be +5, over 1 times 2. Okay, so your line of symmetry here is going to be positive 5. And then how do you find the x-intercepts? Again, factor it and use each of those. All right, so here are your graphs. Should look something like this. The fourth one there was prime. There are your x-intercepts for each of your numbers. Number 3 was red, 4 was blue, and 5 was pink. Notice the interesting thing there. It's prime because it doesn't have any x-intercepts. That's basically the definition of prime, is it doesn't ever hit the x-axis, where this one hits it once, this one hits it twice, this one hits it 0 times. Therefore, it's called prime. That's the other way to know whether it's prime or not, is whether it hits the x-axis or not. All right, that's pretty cool today, huh? You learned how to factor trinomials into 2 expressions and how to graph parabolas. Good job. That was it for factoring trinomials. This was Matt with mathsmath.com. Thanks for joining us here today. And check us out on Facebook at Solving Maths Problems and on Twitter, Maths Math. Enjoy math.